A sunset sky off the coast of Florida sounds like a perfect night for racing, and that's exactly what we've got in store tonight. The NFRN Amateur Cup Series is in Jupiter, Florida. Bumpdraftin Super Speedway, the site of our 8th race of the season. This is the Florida 250. Hello again, everybody. Colin Denton here on the call today for RVN. The big storyline coming into this race, playoff picture. 2 races in a row where a playoff spot has been taken away from drivers who needed that shot. Chris Harley got his second victory of the season at Pig Speeddome. That took away 1 spot. Clint McComb, a driver of the Truck Series, won the race at Van Zandt over Colin Lindsay. That took away the 2nd spot. Now there are 2 open spots at least going into this playoff season, but this is a very valuable spot to get because there's only 12 drivers that's going to qualify for the playoffs. And for the guys that have been running up front in the standings that haven't won a race yet, this is big news for them. And for those drivers that have run up front, they have been very dominant. We've seen guys like Kenny Knox, Connor Mays, Noah Kim. Those 3 guys, in addition to several others, have a shot at earning those spots. But they have got to go for a victory at some point. Bumpdraftin Super Speedway might be their shot, but it could also end up going to someone that doesn't have as many points as them because it is a super speedway and those are always unpredictable. The part-timers will be the first ones to take a lap on the circuit on this race night, but obviously they didn't have any experience because they were all racing in Oswego. They quickly, though, formed a pack and a lot of shuffling happened between all 14 drivers as they worked to find position on the course. There would be a last lap accident, though, as Jasper Rawls and Moses Osborne made contact. Steve Ray, Hunter Cox among the drivers that get collected in that one. And in the end, a close battle to the finish line. However, Jason Langley, making his first career start, would be able to beat out Kevin Knight and Jesse McConna to make their way into the field. A couple of race winners also joining the field, Barry Watson and Mike Simpson. James Smith, the last one to make the field. Clint McComb, who won the last Amateur Cup Series race at Van Zandt, will not make the show tonight. And a quick look at our hot seat driver of the night, AJ Jones. Despite a 15th place run at Grand Detour, he's on a 3-race top 10 streak at 8 Bowl, Pig Speeddome, and Van Zandt. A huge run for the Jones Smith Racing driver, and he could make it 4 top 10s in a row tonight. He'll just have to have a good shot on the Super Speedway here in Jupiter, Florida. Let's take you down trackside to get starting command.
It's time now for the most famous words in motorsports. Please welcome Blake Buell.
Drivers, stop your engine!
All right, fired up. Just fired up there when you're ready. We can save a little.
It is time once again for some Super Speedway racing. We'll take you through the starting grid to see where your favorite driver will start. It's an all-Dodge front row with Ryan Kendall in the number 56 Cherry 7-Up Dodge Challenger on the pole. The second week in a row we've had a driver with a new sponsor start on the pole. Andy Coleman in the number 12 Best Buy Dodge on the outside. Jay Jefferson starts P3 with 1 top 10 on his resume. Looking to make it 2 today, Mike Simpson in his 4th Amateur Cup Series start starts in place number 4. Jason Langley makes his first career Amateur Cup Series race and starts in the top 5. Sparky the Sun Devil on his outside, the 8 Bowl winner. James Smith is in the number 9 for the first time since Columbia. He starts place number 7 alongside Chase Baldwin, who only has 2 finishes better than 30th. He needs a good run today. In row number 5, we have our Columbia winner, Donnie Moore, alongside TJ Ball, who only has a best finish of 26th on our 3 Super Speedway courses this season. In row number 6, we have the pole sitter from Columbia, Anthony Lopez. Alongside him, Jason Thales, who's been one of the most consistent mid-pack runners all season long. In row number 7, we have Craig Martin, who's finished top 20 in every race so far except for Columbia. Jesse McConna in place number 14 is in his first Amateur Cup Series race since Grand Detour. Kevin Knight, making his 4th straight Amateur Cup Series race, rounds out the top 15. Connor Mays, currently 2nd in points, is on place number 16. 19 Car Fan has 2 top 10s on the season. AJ Jones, 3 straight top 10s. They make up row number 9. And in our 10th row, we have Justin Roback, who finished 3rd at Pigs Cliff earlier this season. Barry Watson has 2 top 5s on the year, looking to make it 3 in his 7th Amateur Cup Series start. This track is going to be a real challenge for drivers as they go 4 and 5 wide around the corners. We saw them run about 200 miles per hour in the practice sessions, but they haven't run in a pack quite like they're going to see at the start of this race. We'll see how they get challenged as we see top contenders like Chris Harley and Noah Kim starting far back in the field. However, Harley does have the 2 victories to fall back on. Noah Kim needs to make up some points and try to get himself into an open spot if he can't win a race. But on a super speedway, that should be a fairly easy task, much more than some of the other types of tracks you go to. If you find the right drafting line, you can make your way up to the front, even if you start in the back of the field. We see the pace car pull off the track, and Ryan Kendall going to be the one that leads them to the line first. Who's going to take the victory in race number 8? We're green flag here at Bumpdraftin. The part-timer Jason Langley immediately making a cut to the inside line, trying to see if he can take the line away from Ryan Kendall. He runs a little wide off the turn, but he could get some side draft here and take the lead immediately. And he looks like he has some help from another part-timer, James Smith. Lopez and Martin also in that line. Kendall trying to maintain the spot. Smith makes it 4 wide into the corner. And Lopez trying to make it 5 wide. He's now on the inside of James Smith as they finally get off turn 4 and they do not crash. That's a good thing to see. And it looks like Lopez actually won the race to the line. He'll get that bonus point. And it looked like Kendall might have actually scraped the wall there a little bit as he's high on the outside. The pole sitter now falling back. And that's what you're going to see on these types of tracks as Craig Martin now makes a move to the inside of Lopez. We've seen Martin in the top 10 in points. He's trying to go for that victory or at least have a decent point stay because that could get him into contention with the rest of these guys. We're on board the hot seat driver, A.J. Jones, as he makes his way to the inside, trying to take a look for the lead. Another one of those contenders. He's obviously been very streaky as of late. Could he possibly add to that streak? He could get a good finish here today. Now he's got help. He's got some company to the inside as Griffin Lynn starting to make a move while Craig Martin finds a lane to block. Lynn's season has been going pretty downhill. And it all started at Columbia, where he had a rough ride, took a tumble, made up some points, and got into the top 14, made some more Elite Cup Series races, but he's fallen back once again. He could have a good day here today, and now we have Colin Lindsay to his inside, running a new one-off paint scheme tonight, sponsored by ISAF Ace Combat. A very flashy-looking car, and he's pulling it to the front, but he's got a look from the inside by Jesse McConna. Lindsay trying to see if he can make up a point here and have a good point stay. Try to see if he can go for a shot in the playoffs. McConna is making another start in the Amateur Cup Series. He's had very few opportunities so far this season. Looking to see if he can lead one of these things and bring the momentum back to the Truck Series. Now we got TJ Smith on his inside looking for the lead. He had been running up in the top 10 in points for most of the season. Did not have a good day at Van Zandt and fell back in points. Al Calloway, the other driver of Calloway Brothers Racing, with Dwayne Calloway having the victory on hand, almost getting the second victory at Pig Speed Dome, unable to pull it off with the troubles on pit road. Trying to see if he can lead the lap. As we see, Ray Chapman actually looks like he led that lap. Here's his teammate Connor Mays, stuck in traffic. He's trying to work his way in the second line of what looks like a 4-wide situation and really trying to navigate when to use that throttle. Make sure you don't run into the person in front of you. Also you're pretty much watching every portion of your race car at this point, every mirror you can possibly go to, because you want to see if you can stay out of the way of other drivers and keep your car clean. We talked about one of the Ben Coles Motorsport drivers. Here's the other one. Here's Arvin Alonso making his way to the front. Side by side with Barry Watson at the moment. Oh, we've got trouble in the mid-pack. Cars go around. We've got a crash on the front stretch. Caution flag flies. Chase Baldwin goes up on his roof. Contact from Mike Simpson. And he slides all the way down and he'll stay on his roof. I believe that's the second time he's gone over this season. Craig Martin's got front-end damage. That's not what he needed today. AJ Jones a little bit slow behind him as well. And there we see the 4 car. Our hot seat driver might have had a little bit of involvement in this one. Al Calloway trying to find his place in line. A lot of drivers we just highlighted, they were falling back in the line on the outside, and this is what they get caught up in. TJ Smith with some damage. I believe he was one of the original cars as they started spinning. Oh, and a little bit more contact right here. Oh, and oh man, Jesse McConnell, Mike Simpson, a couple part-timers getting contact there, as it seems like everyone just checked up. Not sure what's happening up in front of these guys. And now McConnell has some major front-end damage, although I think he might have been involved in the original accident too. Now we're going to see the drivers come down for pit stops. They're going to get their early service while they have the chance. Here's Rovan Alonso into his pit stall. Barry Watson was the leader at the line. So he's the first one to come in. It looks like a 2-tire stop for Alonso, and that might be the case for a lot of these drivers as they come in. Super Speedway is not necessarily needed for multiple tires. We have some accidents in the back of the pit lane, and this is really holding up a lot of cars. Jason Thales was the one I saw around. A little bit of contact there between Shane Borland and another car, and I think Griffin Lynn's getting held up too. And I think James Smith around. Man, there's a lot of problems back there. Oh, and now even more contact. That's TJ Ball and Kyle Bachelia. And we had pit road problems in this race, the Elite Cup Series race, one season ago, and it seems like that's continuing into this season. It's just a ton of problems trying to navigate this pit lane. Let's see what happened in this accident, though. And it looks like Chase Baldwin and Mike Simpson make contact with TJ Smith and Al Calloway on the outside. All 4 basically spin at the same time. There's Jesse McConnell, who was right behind that and falls into TJ Ball. Jason Thales goes around. And Colin Lindsay going to be the first one to hit him. It looked like Griffin Lynn came down the track, made contact with Shane Borland, and Lynn's going to actually spin out on his own. Maybe Borland saved it, I think. Kevin Knight comes in there late, trying to skid by, and there's the contact with Mike Simpson that turns Chase Baldwin over. It looks like a relatively small bit of contact, but obviously enough that sends over a race car. We're also watching it in slow motion, so that kind of takes away the force of that contact. But Baldwin will slide to a stop on his roof. From a different angle, we'll probably see a little bit more down the track here. So here it is at full speed. You can see Lindsay with nowhere to go. Another driver trying to see what he can do to get back into the points competition. Robert Harrison got involved in this one as well. That's someone we didn't see before. Borland actually does get involved with his teammate. Gets tangled up with him. There's a little bit of contact there with AJ Jones. Jason Langley looked like he was having a solid start. And it looks like he might have made contact with 95. So a lot of drivers with points potential getting caught up in this one. Let's ride on board the veteran, Colin Lindsay. And you can see he just had nowhere to go there, and if he slows up, he's going to get run into from the back. He did a solid job to start getting through that one until the door closed. And he just didn't have the time. On board the hot seat driver, AJ Jones. And there was a lot that went on there for Jones. Looks like he might have gotten into the 36 and made contact with a few other drivers, either hitting them or getting run into the back of. Looks like there's some contact we missed on the entry of pit lane, and Jesse Makana directly into the back of Lopez. Like the 98 didn't have any brakes. And then Kevin Knight comes in there and slams right into Lopez. And Ball trying to roll up as well, and he makes contact. Lopez trying to just drive on the pit lane and gets hit by 3 cars before he even gets to his stall. And now here's some of the stuff that we did see on pit lane. So Jason Dales runs into Lindsay, and he has problems getting back to his stall. And then that holds up this entire pit lane. So Dales gets it back around. And then Borland's trying to get into his stall. Runs into AJ Jones and James Smith. Griffin Lynn with additional contact as he tries to get to his stall. 36 and 60 make it to their stalls while James Smith pulls away. And then Kevin Knight trying to get to his stall. Bachelia runs into Ball, not anticipating him to break. But Ball still has to get to his stall, and a lot of damage to the front of the 14. Craziness in these opening laps at Bumpdraftin.
The Coca-Cola Racing family is a competitive bunch, so when we started getting points, every time we drank a Coke on camera, it became a competition.
Kevin, talk us through those last 50 laps. What was it that got the job done for you out there today?
And when we heard the money would be donated to charity, well, we took it to the next level.
It's really a spectacular display of lightning tonight, but no one is outside to see it. Back to you in the studio, Carol.
All the major indices are up as we near the closing bell, and the S&P 500 is showing.
Lobster, say hi to our viewers. Hello, everybody. Thank you. It was absolutely delightful working with you.
Coming around turn 2 and driving.
The personal trainer or the other personal trainer. Next on Liquidate.
And a dramatic finish.
Yes, not only do they have to clear the cliffs.
Seeking warmth, the Arctic seals surface to bask in the sun.
The Coca-Cola Racing family, doing our part to help those in need.
A laundry list of cars out of the race after our first few laps at Bumpdraftin. Kevin Knight, TJ Ball, Jason Dales, Mike Simpson, Jesse Makana, Anthony Lopez, Kyle Bachelia, and Griffin Lynn. All back in the garage and headed home. I believe most, if not all, of these drivers were involved in the initial accident on the front stretch. But we did see some problems with a few of those drivers on pit lane. Might have contributed to them dropping out. Here's Arvin Alonso, first off pit lane. In all of that craziness, we missed that Alonso beat Watson off of the pits. Now with 37 out in front, with a pack that might be a little bit more reduced after this one, because they all had a lot of problems, and a few of them still have damage that's going to play a factor in their speed for the rest of the race. So Alonso has the edge on Barry Watson, but the 78 is looking to make a move already. Trying to get the bottom lane with help from Ryan Kendall. And it looks like he's going to get the spot. Back still a bit widened out at the moment, but I'm sure that's going to fill in as the cars get back up to speed and get the draft. Now the 78 of Watson is out in front. And he's had a pretty impressive season so far. Not just winning the race at Columbia in the Truck Series, but he's also made 7 of 8 Amateur Cup Series races this season. Only missed out on one, I believe that was Pig Speed Dome. Besides that miss, he's been able to qualify for a lot of these events, get more experience, try to see if he can make a run up here next season. He's definitely showing his worth, and he's starting to give a little bit of blocking to some of the lines here. Hasn't lost the lead on this lap yet. Donnie Moore was the guy trying to help Alonso on the outside line. That didn't work out too well, as he continues to fade back as the pack starts to reform after that accident. He's got the win at Columbia. He settled in. He was the other driver with Watson that won at Columbia, along with Julio Cesar up in the Elite Cup Series. We've seen Noah Kim. We talked about how he started pretty far back in the field. Look at him now. He's up in 5th place. Got away from the accident. Looking to see if he can build on his points ground. Currently 3rd in the standings and looking pretty solid right now. But he's not alone. Kenny Knox and Connor Mays are still up here in the competition. Although those two are kind of hanging back a little bit, and that might be a safe play on their part. We might see another accident in these next 17 laps. I don't know if they have any damage. That could also play a factor into their speed, but at the moment they look like they're running solidly, could end up with a good finish anyway. Jack Freeman, he got his rebound at Van Zandt, finished 9th place. And he was running up there in the top 4 with AJ Jones after the big debacle with Billy Thompson holding up a lot of the field. Unfortunately, though, the draft caught him, and he slipped back to 9th on what could have been a great day for him. Still solid, and getting him back into his speed form. Because he had lost a lot of points down that stretch that put him almost back to last place in the full-timer standings. Justin Rodeback was the guy that came into this race last place in full-timer standings because of his poor finish at Pig Speeddome and at Van Zandt. And he's also in this pack. He just led that lap. Looks like AJ Jones has some work to do. He has lost the draft, and it looks like that contact that he had on that accident definitely slowed him down. He's still driving. He's still trying to gain as much points as he can, but at the moment, not looking good for the 4-car. He needed to have a good day and stay up front with the competitors, but with 3 of them at the lead pack, including Connor Mays, who just took the lead, this is going to be a very bad day for him. Back in a moment from Bumpdraftin.
Yeah, you.
Danica, you had a rough run on the last lap there. How do you adjust?
Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Oh. You're gonna shine. Oh, Coca-Cola.
What was the question again?
I honestly don't remember.
Can you feel it? Can you feel it?
Connor Mays recently took the lead. He was around Kenny Knox, who's still riding around at the back of the pack. So while it looks like Mays is going to get the bonus point for leading the lap, Knox is playing it a little bit more conservatively, although it does look like he's catching up to this lead pack, and maybe now he's trying to get aggressive as we've hit the halfway point in the race. Looking at this inside of 3 wide with Jake Thomas and Barry Watson. We mentioned AJ Jones was having a bad day. Another one of the points contenders having a poor day today is Robert Harrison. He's riding just a couple spots behind Jones in a kind of a 3-car tandem with Jason Langley. Another one of the drivers that really needed to have a solid day as he runs top 10 in points. That's going to have a bit of difficulty trying to make up the points. 3 wide at the front, Ray Chapman had the lead. Gave it away to John Gilbert, but Jack Freeman back to the lead. We saw him lead a lap earlier on. But he has some competition from the inside, and a crash in the middle of that pack! Eric Van Orsdale around. Connor Mays I saw spinning into the wall. And there he is. He's made contact and crashed in this one. His car's still rolling. Caution flag out. AJ Jones gingerly going around him. And Mays was looking to win this one finally. Now he's involved in an accident, trying to see if he can get that one repaired. Barry Watson also involved in this one. Jay Jefferson, we saw him involved. Van Arsdale. Another accident in the lead pack as drivers try to get aggressive, this time off of turn number 2. Hearing that Kenny Knox might have had a little bit of a touch in that one too. And he was just starting to make his way on the inside. We thought he was going to play conservative strategy. Turned aggressive all of a sudden, and that's where the problem started. So now we have Andy Coleman out in front. A driver that's had a lot of struggles so far this season. Trying to see if he can get a rebound here. Noah Kim, one of the points competitors. He runs 2nd place. Pit stops are going to come into play here. Again, this should be the last pit stop they'll have to take. And then they should be good to the end on fuel. A lot of drivers, in fact, all of the ones that came out in top 10 last time around, took 2 tires. What do we see this time? Oh, and there's some contact made between Kyle Law and Noah Kim. And now Alonso flies into Kim, and now the 38 is stalled on pit lane. Noah Kim cannot get his car refired. He had contact from the 37. And now, big problems for one of the points competitors who we just talked about. Huge points implications, and more contact between AJ Jones and Connor Mays on pit lane. This is a bad day to be doing good in points, because it seems like all those drivers are having problems right now. We see the race off pit lane. Coleman maintained the lead with Jacob Rose and Joey Radcliffe. Going up 5 spots, Chris Harley and Jake Thomas up 6. Everyone on 2 tire strategies once again. But continuing to have problems on pit lane. More and more contact. Here's the problem that originated. This whole accident, contact between the 67 and the 33. A similar incident to what we saw in the front stretch, but this time in turn 2. They run right up on Connor Mays, and he had nowhere to go. And there's the big hit that Kenny Knox took. It came from Jay Jefferson as he came back down the racetrack. Austin Rogers also involved in this one. And the 84 just goes for a slide. But he definitely had a big hit from the left side. As his crew continues to work on pit lane and try to get that thing repaired. Here is his onboard. And as you can see, he had nowhere to go. As soon as you're on the outside line, that is one of the worst places to be on a super speedway, because that is where a lot of the problems can go up into. Another accident going to shake up this field. We'll be back after this break. Coming down to the final stretch in this race at Bumpdraftin, Jay Jefferson and Alexander Rowe drop out after that accident. Craig Martin, as a result of the last accident as well as earlier problems, his car is unable to continue. He is out also. Andy Coleman, the current leader of this race. You can see that TJ Smith and Al Calloway are in front, but they are actually on the tail end of the lead lap, did not pit at that moment. So Coleman is actually going to take the lead, and it looks like both the 6 and the 46 are damaged enough that Coleman's just going to try to get right by them. Jacob Rose now in second place, Alonso in third. The 37's been in the competition all this race, and he's trying to see if he can get his first career win. On board the 6 here, as you can see, he's trying to get up to full speed, obviously, but that full speed is not as good as these other drivers. The damage on the race car, that's always a problem on super speedways. Although it seems like he's actually drafting pretty well with the rest of the pack. Not sure if he wasn't able to catch a draft last time around, but maybe he can do it here. And we see Jack Freeman actually got into the wall a little bit. No harm, no foul, though. I think he's okay. AJ Jones, though, with the teammate to TJ Smith, is actually having a little bit worse problems as he tries to run around with his damaged race car. Callaway seems like he might have problems. Jones is trying to move to the outside of him, but actually it looks like the 4 actually gives up the spot to Robert Harrison. And Jones is just really trying to find his way around all the traffic. And we see Connor Mace has kind of joined in on that pack as he has his damaged race car. He's just going for as many points as he can at this point. Damage control is all you can do when you have a wrecked race car. And the 84 is in the prime position for a spot in the playoffs at the moment. He's got to just make up the ground where he can. And there are a few damaged race cars in front of him that he could take advantage of. But he's got to get up there quickly. We're down to 7 laps to go. His teammate Ray Chapman is back up in front. We saw him lead a lap earlier. Can he take the team to their first career victory? Meanwhile, on the inside, Kyle Law. We have not talked about him all day, but he is having a great run right now as he is still on the lead pack, undamaged race car, in his home state of Florida. This could be a great day for him. Still trying to fight the 25 car, though, as he continues to have a lot of speed and blocking the rest of the lanes. Now it looks like we're going to have a 3-wide situation as Freeman back to the inside. Every single one of these stints that we have, the 13 car seems to be there. He might have one of the faster race cars on the track right now. Right behind him, he has help from one of the Super Speedway Masters, at least at this point in the season, Donnie Moore, who's now going to try to take a look to the inside line. He's got help from Chris Harley, the winners looking out for each other. Although when they're looking out for each other, it just might mean they're trying to take advantage of one another and working together. In the process, you can see the 49 sweep to the inside. 5 laps to go in this one. Freeman led that lap, although the 50 is going to finally take it over, while the 49 looks to continue to maintain momentum. Not a ton of drafting help down there, but surely someone's got to join in. Donnie Moore trying to just maintain the pace right now. Ryan Kendall, the pole sitter, in one of those lines. And Kenny Knox is still in the conversation, despite the hit that we saw him take from the 3 car. Kind of amazing that he's still in the competition. Not necessarily for continuing to drive, because he didn't have that much damage, but the hit that he took seemed to indicate that he would be a little slower on the racetrack. Good to see that he's not, and he could make up a lot of ground here on the points. After all, some of the competitors he has around him are all missing out right now. A.J. Jones and Connor Mays far back in the field. Craig Martin wrecked out. Robert Harrison also slow on the racetrack. This is a great opportunity for Knox right here. Justin Roback continuing to try to make up ground. He finished 23rd at Van Zandt. Not a great finish by any means, but better than he had in the past 3 races, or the 3 races preceding that. And he is on pace to maybe make a top 15 run, or better. But that's as many cars that are running in this lead pack. 3 laps to go here at Bumpdraftin Super Speedway. This is all just a precursor to the League Cup Series race coming up in just a few short moments. Kenny Knox now on the inside looking for the lead. And he's able to make the move. Still on his door, and now it looks like he's cleared the 49. And that's a little premature there, but he's got the inside line. But Kyle Law starting to make the move inside. Jacob Rose, John Gilbert just behind. A little bit of air between the 23 and the next car back. But he's still trying to make a push. He pulls out in front of the 53. And he leads the lap, actually. Now the 23 all alone out front. Can he keep all the lanes blocked for this one? Is there about 4 wide behind him? Oh, there's contact in the middle of the pack! Alonso! Kendall! Alonso saves it, but the caution flag comes out anyway! Kyle Law out in front, and he's got some room to work with. John Gilbert pulls in the 2nd place, but they're still racing back to the line. Gilbert has one more shot at taking a move for the pass, but he's not going to get there. Kyle Law wins the race back to the line. A huge opportunity for the Florida driver as the field crashes behind him. One of the front runners, Alonso, involved in that accident. He got away. And it looks like they could have gone green if they wanted to, but the caution flag did in fact come out. That set up the run to the finish line, and the 23 was out in front. I'm not sure quite how far back that crash was, because it looks like Law had a gigantic gap over Gilbert and the rest of the field. When we cut back to him, I'm not sure how he got that huge run in front of those drivers, but he was able to put himself in the right position at the right time. He got a lot of help from Jacob Rose, who is now scored in 5th place. John Gilbert and Sparky the Sun Devil, who we haven't talked about all day, both looking for win number 2. But tonight we crown a new winner and another driver into the Amateur Cup Series playoffs. Coming down to the stripe, the checkered flag waves on Kyle Law, a win in his home state at Bumpdraftin. Law had been looking for the good run. He needed an opportunity, and he got it. He has the hometown crowd's support, and he is going to victory lane tonight. Let's take a look at the accident that ended the race. It was contact between the 56 and the 37. Like we saw in the last accident, Chris Harley and Roadback up there and nowhere to go. And then the 37 gets a little hit from Donnie Moore, and I think that contact might be the one that brings out the caution. 37 just about at a 90-degree angle at that point. A solid save by Alonso, but not enough to keep that one from going green till the end. Well, what a wild finish to this one. A driver that we didn't see throughout this entire race puts himself in the right position at the right time and gets the caution flag and the good luck to go along with it. Kyle Law, a first-time victor, and beats out 2 other guys that had victories before him, Gilbert and Sparky, who finished 2 and 3. Joey Radcliffe comes up with a top 5 finish along with Jacob Rose. A solid week for another few guys back here. Ray Chapman, Shane Borland, Andy Coleman. Jack Freeman finishes 9th for the 2nd week in a row. And Kenny Knox, despite the contact on that second accident, he still finished 8th place. A solid job by him. A couple of Western Motorsport drivers in 11th and 12th places. Chris Harley ends up finishing 13th, with Kendall, Roadback, and Alonso just falling behind him after that last accident. Despite crunching up his hood, Jason Langley finishes 18th in his Amateur Cup Series debut, and the Gardner Racing teammates in 19th and 20th. Some of our points competitors, Connor Mays in 22nd, AJ Jones in 24th, Noah Kim in 30th. Not the days they were looking for, still coming home mid-pack. How about Chase Baldwin? He was on his roof in one of the early laps of the race. He got it turned over, and he pulled the Dale Earnhardt move on this one. 23rd, and finishes on the lead lap despite being on his roof. What a great job by that driver, who's had a horrendous season so far. Probably wanted more points than he got, but huge props for that finish. Colin Lindsay is the last surviving driver on the board, and he comes home 31st. With the damage he took, he ended up 4 laps down on the day. We see the rest of the drivers that did not finish the race. It was a bad day to be a part-timer. 3 of the 6 did not finish this one. Craig Martin really the only driver that was in competitive points position to be notable on this list. Chris Harley maintains the points lead after this race, with Connor Mays falling back a few points, but still in front of Kenny Knox and the rest of the drivers looking for a victory. Unfortunately, almost all of them had problems. Knox was really the only one that had a solid, consistent day that got him some extra points to build off of. You can see that he is 19 points ahead of Kim, and then the rest of those guys all kind of scattered in the same place, looking to see what they can do to make that ground back up. You can see our new winner, Kyle Law, here in 17th place in the standings. He has a little bit of work to do to make sure he stays in the top 25, but if he does that, he'll be locked in a matter of a few races. Craig Martin, who was also a part of the standing competition, he's back here in 11th place. A little bit of points to make up for the 82 car driver. Back in this part of the standing chart, you can find guys that either had great days or horrible days. Colin Lindsay falls all the way back to 25th, and TJ Smith to 23rd. Guys that jumped up: Andy Coleman, 24th place, Jack Freeman, 28th. And back here on the final page of the standing chart, you can see Chase Baldwin back to last place on the full-timer standings after a mediocre day, especially after coming off a flip where you were landed on your roof. He still made up a few points and keeps himself in solid range of Griffin Lynn and Alexander Rowe and TJ Ball, who all wrecked out. As we look at the playoff picture, you can see Kyle Law with the top 25 and a victory on hand, now in gold. As long as he can maintain that spot, he'll be locked into the playoffs. Connor Mays and Kenny Knox a solid amount of points ahead of the cutoff line, but they have to pay attention to the drivers that are just behind them because obviously they can take their spots. As far as team standings go, it's now a tight battle between Ramco Motorsports and Coco Racing. Just a 2-point gap between the two teams. Gardner Racing 20.5 points behind. Jones Smith Racing had a pretty bad day for themselves as both of the drivers involved in accidents. And we'll take a quick look at the numbers that the Amateur Cup Series drivers will be running in the Elite Cup Series race here later on. A wild night of racing that isn't even over yet. Kyle Law takes his first career victory in his home state of Florida at Bumpdraftin Superspeedway. We're not quite done here at Bumpdraftin Superspeedway. The Elite Cup Series race starts in just a few moments, but we hope you'll join us for our next Amateur Cup Series race at Knox Raceway, the first road course of the season for these guys. For NFRN and RVN, my name is Colin Denton, and we hope to see you next time.